What if I told you your body holds a kind of biological secret, a superfuel that some of the most successful people are exploring to sharpen their focus and protect their brains as they age? But what if that same secret could also be used to weaken one of our most feared diseases? What if you could put immense metabolic pressure on cancerous tumors simply by changing your body's fuel source? Today, we're unlocking the science behind this superfuel ketones. We'll explore how they can powerfully boost your brain and why they just might be a revolutionary new tool in the fight against cancer. Our bodies are incredible machines, but every machine needs fuel. For most of our lives, we run on glucose, the sugar we get from carbohydrates. It powers everything, especially our brains. The brain is a hungry organ, gobbling up about 20% of the body's entire glucose supply just to keep the lights on. But this reliance on a single fuel can become a problem. As some people age, their brain's ability to use glucose efficiently can start to decline. This brain glucose hypometabolism is a well-documented feature in cognitive decline and a risk factor for neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. It's like a power grid slowly failing, causing brownouts in memory and focus. At the same time, another crisis can brew inside the body. A different kind of cell has an even more ravenous appetite for glucose, the cancer cell. Many types of cancer cells are essentially hooked on sugar. This is a phenomenon known as the Warburg effect, where cancer cells get addicted to a fast, inefficient way of burning glucose to fuel their runaway growth. They rewire themselves to devour sugar, often outcompeting our healthy cells. So we have two huge problems, both tied to how our bodies use fuel. A brain that might be struggling to get enough energy, and rogue cells that are hijacking that same energy source for their own destructive purposes. Is there another way? What if we could switch to a different fuel? This is where the story gets interesting, because our bodies do have a backup generator and alternative fuel source called ketones. Ketones are small energy molecules made by your liver when it breaks down fat. This happens during periods of fasting, intense exercise, or when you dramatically cut your carb intake, like on a ketogenic diet. The main ketone we'll talk about is beta-hydroxybutyrate, or BHB. Think of your body like a hybrid car. Most of the time it's running on gasoline that's glucose, but it has a powerful electric engine it can switch to, and that's ketones. When glucose is scarce, the liver starts turning fat into these potent little energy packets. And here's their first superpower. Unlike a lot of other molecules, ketones can easily cross the blood-brain barrier. This means they can get directly to your brain cells and be used for fuel. This is a crucial workaround, especially when the brain's ability to use glucose is impaired, because neuronal uptake of ketones doesn't rely on insulin. It's a way to deliver high-quality fuel directly to your brain. But as science is discovering, BHB is more than just fuel. It's also a powerful signaling molecule. This means it can actually talk to your cells, nudging them to turn certain genes on or off and protect themselves. It's not just energy. It's a command signal for your body to run better. So how can this superfuel help our brains? When the brain struggles to use glucose effectively, ketones can step in to fill that energy gap. PET scan studies suggest that while glucose use may be impaired in the brains of people with Alzheimer's, their ability to use ketones seems to be much better preserved. Researchers call this brain energy rescue. But it's not just about providing a backup fuel. Ketones seem to actively upgrade the brain's hardware. First, they appear to improve the function of our mitochondria, the tiny power plants in our cells. This helps them produce more of the body's energy currency, ATP. Second, they may enhance brain network stability. For instance, an exciting study published in 2024 showed that giving a ketone supplement to midlife adults could help restabilize brain networks that tend to become disrupted with age. Third, there's the signaling effect of BHB. Preclinical research suggests BHB can protect your brain in some remarkable ways. It seems to reduce inflammation by blocking a key inflammatory pathway called the ANELP3 inflammasome. Think of it as turning down a slow, simmering fire that contributes to age-related damage. It also appears to boost the brain's own antioxidant defenses, protecting it from cellular rust. So what about the human evidence? A 2025 systematic review and meta-analysis found that taking exogenous ketones had a modest but statistically significant positive effect on overall cognitive performance. It's important to know the effect was small and varied a lot between studies, but it's a promising start. Other studies have shown that ketogenic diets can improve brain blood flow and boost levels of BDNF, a key protein for neuron growth and survival. The evidence is building, but of course results can vary from person to person. If you're finding this information valuable and want to learn more about optimizing your health, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. We've still got a lot to cover. Now let's turn to the second and arguably more controversial part of our story, the potential role of ketones in the fight against cancer. The basic idea goes back to that Warburg effect we talked about. Since many aggressive cancer cells are addicted to glucose and have inflexible metabolisms, the theory is they might not be able to use ketones for fuel. Healthy cells, on the other hand, adapt just fine. This creates a potential therapeutic window. Here's the theory. By adopting a ketogenic diet, you dramatically lower your blood glucose and insulin levels. This could, in effect, put metabolic stress on those sugar-hungry cancer cells, limiting their primary fuel. Meanwhile, your healthy cells can switch over to using ketones, thriving in this new environment. The preclinical evidence here is pretty compelling for certain cancers. A number of studies in cell cultures and animal models, especially for brain tumors like glioblastoma, have shown that a ketogenic diet can slow tumor growth and may even make standard treatments like chemotherapy and radiation more effective. It seems to weaken the cancer cells, making them more vulnerable. However, and this is critically important, the human evidence is still in its early days. Small pilot studies have produced mixed results. Some patients have shown encouraging disease stabilization, while others saw no clear benefit. This brings us to some crucial warnings. First, this is not a one-size-fits-all approach. Not all tumors are addicted to glucose. Some are metabolically flexible and might even be able to use ketones, which could make the diet counterproductive in those cases. Second, a ketogenic diet should never be seen as a replacement for standard cancer care. It's being investigated as an adjunctive therapy, something used alongside conventional treatments to potentially improve their effectiveness. Large-scale clinical trials are still needed to give us definitive answers. Anyone with a cancer diagnosis must work closely with their oncology team before ever considering a major dietary change. So how can one molecule have such different effects on the brain and on cancer? The answer seems to lie in those common mechanisms. Ketones, especially BHB, act as a powerful metabolic signal. In the brain, by providing an alternative fuel and sending out signals that may reduce inflammation and oxidative stress, ketones can create a more resilient and protected environment. In the context of cancer, these same actions can have a very different outcome. By changing the body's fuel source, you place metabolic stress on those metabolically rigid cancer cells. The reduction in inflammation and the other signaling changes caused by BHB might also make the tumor's local environment less friendly for growth. It's a beautiful example of how context is everything in biology. The same signal, the presence of ketones, is interpreted one way by healthy, adaptable cells and a completely different way by some types of metabolically broken cancer cells. We've covered a ton of ground today. We've seen how ketones can act as a potent superfuel for the brain, helping to fill energy gaps and sending protective, anti-inflammatory signals. The evidence for cognitive benefits is growing, offering hope for everything from daily focus to protecting our brains as we age. At the same time, we've explored the exciting but still developing theory of how ketones might be used to target the metabolic weaknesses of many cancers. While the lab data is promising, we have to approach this with caution, remembering that it's being studied as a supportive therapy, not a standalone cure. The science of ketones represents a huge shift in how we think about our metabolism. It's not just about calories. It's about the type of fuel you use and the powerful signals that fuel sends. This field is moving at an incredible pace, and what we've talked about today is just the beginning. The secret key is in our hands. The challenge now is to learn exactly how and when to use it. What are your biggest questions about ketones? Are you more interested in the brain-boosting benefits or the potential cancer-fighting applications? Let me know in the comments below.